anything else.
We don't want to know.
We're dedicated, yes,
To our favorite shows.
Oh, my circuit!
Everybody loves Hypnotoad.
Scary dog!
Dancing at Blurnsville.
Futurama.
Good evening. You are listening to a Rattlegion Broadcasting Premier Podcast TV Party Tonight. I'm your host, the man data reporter, and frankly, I'm mortified, Mr. Mark Rattledge. Acknowledge me. We are reviewing tonight our favorite show, our last WWE show of
Ever.
the 2020 calendar year, TLC, Tables, Ladders, and Chairs 2020, brought to you by the good people of the WWE, featuring the Raw and SmackDown brands. Joining me tonight are the Podsmen, and we ride again, yeehaw, dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. First, from the Superblog team-up, it's Chris Bailey. Chris Bailey, how do you do?
I am on the 9th pillar of Destrucity. I've actually created a new one just for this fucking podcast. It's going to be amazing. Headed into Christmas with Destrucity, we can't lose.
As long as you're trying on Santa's pants while he's unconscious, covered in a viscous fluid.
White fluid, yeah.
It's too much to bear, gentlemen.
And ladies and gentlemen, if you heard our recent source material where we discussed the Warrior Christmas comic, here's the man to blame. Ladies and gentlemen, from X-Lapsed, the Cosmic Treadmill, and whatever the hell else he's working on, it's Chris Sheehan. How do you do, sir?
I'm the man to thank, not blame.
Yes.
This was magic, pure magic. Something that was not magic was the show we're about to discuss. I do have 3 words to impart onto the World Wrestling Entertainment, who are not listening to this program, but those 3 words are, fix your shit. I tried watching this show like 4 times, couldn't fast forward through the shit I already saw, couldn't resume play where I wanted to resume play, so I had to watch the damn AJ Styles Drew McIntyre match like 4 fucking times.
Oh my God.
And it started out not that great, but by the 4th time, you could imagine, it was not good. So fix your shit, please.
Yeah, their app, like when it first
Sucks.
started, their app was pretty good.
It was back in the day.
Yeah. Then they did like an update to it. It's awful now.
Oh, it's
Oh,
garbage.
you can't watch the show. Like, you can't go restart from the beginning right after the show ends. You know what I mean? Because you're stuck. You're stuck in a time warp, and that damn show does not upload until like 3 hours later.
And if you fast forward, it looks like it's fast forwarding, and like you move the little dot on the timeline, but when you let go, it goes right back to where you were. It's like, come on.
So the trick is watch it on a mobile device.
Ah, there you go.
Seriously, it works.
I'm going to watch it on my Apple Watch.
While you're running, just kind of looking up at it every once in a while. My God, watching the AJ Styles ladder match with Drew McIntyre, I believe that's one of the things they use in Guantanamo Bay to get information from prisoners.
It's that with Britney Spears music in the background.
Right. I'm toxic. Ah! All right. All right, guys. I have not been watching Monday Night Raw, and I have been watching.
Don't worry, it's been
SmackDown.
repeats.
Okay, but
It's been repeats like from.
just sort of, Bailey, you've been watching Raw. Catch me up. How did we get from Raw to TLC in 50 words or less?
Oh, my God. So let me see. We tried to set somebody on fire. It didn't go well. We have a giant bodyguard with a person with a mom soccer haircut and a guy that drives swords and is completely balding and on steroids. And then we just landed here at TLC because, for the simple fact, we have to do TLC because we're contracted. So we threw a bunch of ladders and chairs in the ring, and here we are.
Great. That's Raw. Sheehan,
Yes.
you are at the head of the table, the SmackDown table. Tell me how we got from wherever we got from the Survivor Series to TLC.
They remembered that Kevin Owens is on the roster.
Sadly.
That's it.
Okay. Terrific. All right. I did not watch the 8-man tag on the pre-show. Who gives a shit? But in case anyone is a completist, we had Big E, who maybe will someday get his big push, his big singles push. Daniel Bryan, Chad Gable, going by Chad Gable again, I guess, instead of Big Shorty or whatever the hell he was called.
Shorty G.
That's the one. And Otis, who recently got sent back to the Performance Center because Vince McMahon threw a tantrum. versus King Corbin, Sami Zayn, Cesaro, and Shinsuke Nakamura. The good guys beat the bad guys in 8 minutes and 35 seconds. Who gives a shit? Moving on.
Big E is the reigning dark match champion now.
Oh, good.
They can't get him on the main damn show, but when he's not on, when he does show up to do something, he usually wins.
Why can't he be the European champion? Let's drag that title out of the garbage can.
Sure. I think we should buy the X Division Championship because it's not about weight limits.
That's right.
No, I think we should roll the barbershop set to Raw next week and fix all the crap that they're doing with Big E and do this turn right.
throw both of his buddies in through the window.
You're damn right.
And what's missing is that he's not making people count to 5 anymore. We need to go back to that. Because 3's not enough, man. He needs 5.
Wasn't that King Kong Bundy's gimmick?
It was.
It was.
Nothing changes in wrestling. All right.
I think Junkyard Dog kicked out at 4 once. Caused all sorts of shenanigans.
Junkyard Dog had a storied feud with the King, Harley Race.
He did.
Loved it. Battle for the Crown.
That's right.
WrestleMania 3.
Which eventually went to Haku.
Mm-hmm.
King Haku. Remember those days?
I do.
All right.
Loved it.
We could be here talking forever about the good old days of wrestling. Instead, we're going to talk about Drew McIntyre. That started out as Drew McIntyre versus soccer hair mom, AJ Styles with the 10-foot bodyguard, Edward James Almost. They had a match there for a while. See, here's my problem, Bailey, and I need you to explain something to me. In a TLC match, it's no disqualification. Anything can happen. The ref can't stop it. He's just there to acknowledge if somebody actually gets the belt off the hook. So
Yes.
If you have a 10-foot tall bodyguard, why doesn't he just help you and make it a 2-on-1 match? Why did he just stand there like a large redwood and barely get involved in this match? Why didn't they just beat the shit out of Drew McIntyre from the start?
Because you see that Jey Uso would be playing that role a little bit later in the card, so they couldn't have double booking. So if you blew your load in the first 5 minutes with your girl, like this would have been doing if you brought the giant bodyguard in, it would have been repetition and not special for the Reigns match.
Wouldn't it not have made more... I'm with you. Then would it not have made more sense to ban him from ringside storyline-wise?
Or have like Sheamus come out as an equalizer or something?
No,
Yeah.
because this was clearly booked by Jeff Jarrett in his TNA days because they were throwing everything at the kitchen sink trying to cover the awful reign that is Drew McIntyre. So clearly someone got the memo, and I've been saying it all the time on this show, that they have never put Drew McIntyre over properly in a single match since his reign has begun. You know what I mean? And even this
Absolutely.
one was full of shenanigans, outside interference. We had a Money in the Bank cash-in. You talk about trying to cover up somebody's weaknesses. This had, everything, including the kitchen sink in it. And did Drew McIntyre come out looking like a hero in this one? No, it looked like a forced win. And Balding Drew, by the way, I don't know if you guys noticed that. Boy, is this guy like on the Shawn Michaels hair program here. But his hair has fallen out fast since he became champion.
So, yeah, as you mentioned, the next thing that happened is they sent The Miz down. The Miz successfully cashed in once, and then he had that feud with John Cena, and then that apparently went so poorly they started bringing in like The Rock and Goldberg, Brock Lesnar. That really is weird. That WrestleMania in Georgia really was like the point at which the WWE was like, we can't make new stars, we need to bring back the old ones, wasn't it?
100%, man. It was recycled trash. It was.
But he's had the Money in the Bank a few times, Sheehan, right? And wasn't ever able to cash in again. Like they've done that now to him a few times, if I remember correctly.
Who, The Miz?
Yeah.
He's had it. This is the second time he's had it.
Okay.
He had it the first time and he beat Randy, and this time I guess this makes him like the first one ever to have a successful cash in and an unsuccessful cash in. So I mean, we're watching history here in the making.
It's always when I think of when I think of The Miz.
There's an asterisk on this night that'll never go away.
So yeah, John Morrison came out with him, and then he got scared away by Famous
Edward
Amos.
James Almost.
Yeah. So All right, we're all over the place with it. I didn't think it was like a bad match. Here's the thing, and this is what we were talking about before the show started tonight, and this is going to become kind of a theme. Unless you tell a really interesting psychological story with your tables match, with your garbage match, with your hardcore match, we've seen it all before, and so this, as Jim Cornette puts it, just becomes 20 minutes to a half an hour of guys just doing shit to each other. And that's what this felt like. It wasn't bad. It wasn't good. It was more of the same. That's my take on it, Sheehan.
It was prop and glow. That's all these matches are nowadays. It's and we've talked about this at length before. This isn't about matches. This isn't about wins and losses. It's about the moments that they can put in highlight reels. So the more shit people jump off of, the more shit people throw into one another, the more opportunities you're going to get a 5-second clip that'll go into the highlight reels that are going to precede every other TLC match for the next, half decade to a decade. This match was and I mean, we talked about this just a minute ago. There was no reason for this to be a TLC match other than the fact that it's friggin' December.
Right.
And it's like, this was not a long-burning feud. This is a feud that started 3 weeks ago. And we're taking it right to the main blow-off sort of a match with a TLC.
Right.
Stupid shit.
I think, Bailey, what the WWE needs to do in 2021 is start deciding who deserves to have the gimmick match in these pay-per-views and who doesn't, and stop giving it to everybody like it's welfare.
Oh, wow. That's a statement. Jesse Starcher, are you listening? Anyway.
No. He's unemployment. Welfare is something entirely different.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. I was confused. My apologies, Jesse. Anyway, no, you're exactly right. Like, TLC as a gimmick is finished. Like, I mean, what does Extreme mean right now in 2020? This gimmick, the ECW era, is over, and these matches are pointless. They have no reason to have a tables, ladders, and chair match in any of these matches. I mean, and I'll tell you what, Drew's kick, what's the name of his kick? Remind me.
Claymore?
Yeah, the Claymore. Boy, does a finishing move get any lazier than that? I mean, I'm telling you right now, if you go to a Target or something, just run and kick like the guy who's like in the aisle with you. I mean, it doesn't even hurt. It's just shameless. But anyway, like you said, it's a pointless collection of stunt bumps. It adds up to nothing, and they really, really had to pack this match full of extra stuff just to make it seem like something and put Drew over. And it's a telltale sign that, again, Drew McIntyre did not headline this pay-per-view as champion. So you see who's, you see the WWE hierarchy in full effect here, and, head of the table or the Claymore. And Claymore starts the show. So there you go. That tells you.
Yeah. They need to do this one time per pay-per-view. Not, even if they do it like, they did Hell in the Cell with Bayley and Sasha. That probably should have been it. And if not them, then then Jey Uso and Roman Reigns. But not both. And certainly then not also Randy Orton. And we don't need 3 Hell in the Cells. When I watch the No Holds Barred death matches,
Zeus versus Hogan?
Yes.
Death matches. They poor Tiny Lister, rest in peace, sir.
Rip, brother. Rip it.
They each match successively builds on the one previously. Usually, sometimes they do some repeats, but for the most part, like I'll give an example of a. And I'm going to change companies here, but like Game Changer Wrestling did 3 nights in Japan. I think it was earlier this year, and like at the start of the year. And like as the night progressed, they would start the matches with they would build these shop class fucking experiments with light tubes that were just there. When Schlack took on Ayatollah Khomeini, whatever the hell his name is. Big fat Japanese wrestler in a turban. They wrapped a whole bunch of light tubes around the rope. So like aesthetically, the matches look different and were presented differently. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't just every match is the same death match. Every match starts off the same, and it's just, again, guys doing shit to each other. They at least tried to create some differentiation between what was going on from match to match. And that's where the WWE really falls down. It also falls down on storylines and making new stars, but one thing at a time. If you're going to do multiple gimmick matches, you have to make them different in some way. So like, so like this one, if they were gonna do 2 TLC matches, there had to be something about the first TLC match that was different from the second one. And in a way, they did do that because the Roman Reigns Kevin Owens story at least had a story to it. And like you said, the big difference there was they actually utilized the henchmen to create problems for the good guy. And we'll talk about it when we get there. But that's not really enough, because if we're just going to watch a half an hour of guys falling off the ladder at the beginning of the show, and then another half an hour of guys falling off ladders at the end of the show, give me something else on top of that. You have to make them different. That's my
like fire.
Can I spin off of that particular thought you had there?
Yes.
So I work for a local independent wrestling company here, just doing some announcing and some spots and interview spots and different things. So I had the honor and privilege, you talk about something different, of announcing the first DLC match. Now you might say, Chris, what is a DLC match? Well,
downloadable content?
I think so.
No, it is
Loot
not.
boxes, loot crates.
It means doors, ladders, and chairs. So you physically get people thrown through wooden doors, and brother, it is epic. I will share that file with the plebeians when it becomes available. But this one has to be seen. So when you hear about someone being thrown through a door, they're literally thrown through a door. But yes, differentiation is important. So I grew up on the old Mick Foley King of the Deathmatch tournament VHS tape, and one of the key things you learn from that is that differentiation was the bread and butter of that. So one match had nail boards. One match had concussion bomb fires. The other one had barbed wire. You know what I mean? So they didn't use the same gimmick over and over, and that's what WWE is doing here, and that's why TLC means nothing, because there's no differentiation. Give me a nail board. Give me barbed wire. Just not tables, ladders, and chairs every match. Throw a door in there, for God's sake.
None of their gimmicks mean anything, because they do the same thing. If you go back through 2020, just 2020, and I don't want to be here for the next 9 hours explaining how the last decade of the WWE has been less than thrilling. But, it's like they start off with the Royal Rumble. The men get a Royal Rumble, the women get a Royal Rumble. They do the Elimination Chamber. Raw gets an Elimination Chamber. SmackDown gets an Elimination Chamber. The women get an Elimination Chamber. This just goes on and on and on. WrestleMania, everybody's on the card. It goes on forever. If it hadn't been for COVID, WrestleMania would still be going on at Raymond James Stadium. It goes forever. Extreme Rules. That one, at least everyone does a gimmick match, but they're all different, But after a while, even some of those are like, it's a street fight. No holds barred. It's like, okay, they're all no holds barred. There's no difference, except that occasionally there's an ambulance or some shit involved.
That's like the old Taboo Tuesday thing. It's like, it's going to be no holds barred, weapons allowed, or no disqualifications. Who's going to win the vote?
Hey, wait a minute. And then you get to Money in the Bank, and then the Raw gets a Money in the Bank, and SmackDown gets a Money, and the women get a Money in the Bank, and it's just Survivor Series, Team Warfare, and we ripped that last month, and so it's the same thing, Hell in the Cell, and then TLC. It's like, just stop already. We don't need 5 of these per pay-per-view.
I like what Sheehan said. He's talking about Taboo Tuesday, and clearly when you do, the whole gimmick is voting on the stipulation. You know what I mean? And of course, you heavy loaded to have 2 shit stipulations and 1 obvious one. You know what I mean? Otherwise, you end up what WCW did many moons ago with the Sting match, with a coal miner's glove match on a spin the wheel, make the deal. I mean, boy, did that go over like a fart in church for Sting fans, you know what I mean? Then you had poor Jake Roberts and Sting trying to climb a pole to get a glove. So, I agree. Variety is the spice of life, gentlemen, and WWE needs to shake that bottle.
Sasha Banks retained her title against the returning Carmella, who's doing the I'm a rich bitch twat gimmick. and she's being aided by someone named Reginald Thompson, who I assume my wife was like, "Who's that?" And I'm like, "Fuck if I know." I guess he's from NXT. I don't know anything about him. This was 12 minutes and 10 seconds. This one told a nice story. It was actually, like, it was in that spot to where, Bailey and I, Shane and I talked about this last month with Survivor Series, where it's like you need that match to kind of calm down after the one before it. And this was in that spot, but because it was stripped down and they just told a basic story with these two women, I thought it was good. I've often referred to Sasha Banks as not as klutzy as Shotzi Blackheart, but still klutzy and injury prone. Carmella, she had that run where she was wearing the full bathing suit, and she had the one homeless guy following her around, and she was Money in the Bank, and she was SmackDown champion. She had like this huge push in the beginning. I've always liked her. I've liked her ever since she was with Enzo and Cass in NXT. And I've never seen her wrestle badly, so I thought these two put on a good match. This was probably the best match of the night, to be honest with you. It succeeded in its simplicity. They didn't try to kill each other. They had a couple of spots where Carmella would be saved by her valet, and that's all you really needed. That's my opinion. What do you think, Bailey?
Well, the only thing that I was looking for here, as you know, Sasha Banks is not only the WWE Women's Champion, but she's also now on the Disney Plus episode of The Mandalorian. So she is actually a Mandalorian. So I'm surprised we didn't get to see some Star Wars crossover here and just milk that Mandalorian sponge altogether. But
so
did you
see Vince create Star Wars?
What's that?
Did Vince create Star Wars?
No, that's another autistic lunatic called George Lucas. Did you happen to see last week's NXT episode, guys? Did you happen to see what Johnny Gargano's group is calling themselves?
Where are they going without ever knowing the way?
Is that what they're called?
They're called The Way now.
Oh, my goodness.
Which, as I mentioned in our group chat, is apropos because that Indy Hartwell doesn't know the way to the ring. She looks lost every time she's on camera. She's like, "Which way do I go, George?" She's like, "To the ring, you idiot."
In defense of Indy Hartwell and Shotzi Blackheart, they managed to wrestle without injuring each other. It was fantastic. Go ahead, Bailey.
As for this match, though, Carmella spent a lot of time trying to adjust her stockings during this match. It seemed to be like a massive distraction for her. But like you said, technical. This was a really, really nuts and bolts strong match overall. I mean, one of Sasha Banks' better matches, and it's against Carmella, who myself and Sheehan have, who've basically drained the swamp on making fun of her for years for her talentless efforts. But
really,
listen,
see, I enjoyed her. I thought she was fairly sound. You guys disagree?
Oh man, first when she switched from NXT to come to the big leagues, man, she was a whole lot of not much
garbage.
Hot garbage.
Okay.
But anyway, good match. I don't know where her bodyguard, Mr. Reggie, comes from, but interesting spin to have him involved in the match, and he was heavily involved. So he was setting up moves. He was helping out Mella, but it was all for naught as Sasha Banks, the Mandalorian herself, did not win.
Star Wars nerd, calm down. All right, Sheehan, tell me what you thought of this match.
Nuts and bolts, a sound match. This is a match that I saw 3 times because I couldn't fast forward through it.
Thank you, WWE app.
I know, fix your shit. In the subsequent rewatches here, not only did I notice that Carmella was struggling with her tights very, very often, but she also looked like she was in a commercial for like a diuretic. Like she kept making faces like she shit her pants. Like she she just realized, like a happy family's out on a picnic, and then all of a sudden one of them makes that face, and it's like, do you need Pepto? It was like, holy cow, she looks like she shit her pants. And then she's messing with her tights.
Diarrhea.
So that, I was kind of distracted by that for the second and third rewatches, but for the most part, it was a fine match. It's nice seeing Sasha actually successfully defend the title. It's nice seeing that they're not doing the whole thing where it's like somebody's gone for a long time and then they come back and they are immediately given a belt. Oh, Wait a minute. I think I just described a match that's coming up. But enough of that. I thought this was okay.
All right. The Hurt Business defeated the New Day, featuring Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, and became the new Raw Tag Team Champions. The Hurt Business have all but one belt now. They are getting the big push. Weren't they, Bailey, feuding with Resurrection or Retaliation or Cobra, whatever the fuck their names are?
Retribution.
That's the one.
Reconnaissance.
Ridiculousness.
Rico Investigation.
Yeah, but what happens when you have a gimmick that is so poorly thought out that you never get a win? And guess what? It damages both brands, let alone the original brand. They had to pull the Hurt Business out of that friggin' program immediately, or it was going to damage their brand, man. That was set for disaster. I remember when Retribution was in the ring, and the Hurt Business, as a heel faction, came to the ring to take care of them. And, man, I was popping like crazy. But they had to get them out of there fast. So now they're taking care of two guys who look like they are some – have you ever been to, like, an indie show where – they brought in some old WWE talent, and, they're about 10 to 15 years past their prime? New Day is looking like that, man. They look like they're straight from an armory right now. Like, without Big E, like, their physiques don't look the same. Like, they're a little softer. Their hair is, like, a lot thinner, and, man, it's just like a shell of their former self. And Cedric Alexander, where did he find a personality? Finally, MVP has dug it up, and, man, they had a little inset promo. And the ending of the match was interesting. So Hurt Business are your brand new tag team champions, of course. And it was Cedric Alexander who tags himself in when his team was on the offense and just gets to pin himself. And it stood out to me as, one of the tricks that AEW pulled recently with one of their tag team contests. But, man, what a great win, and what a great thing for Cedric Alexander. He looked like a star. He had, he looked great in the T-shirt, and the Hurt Business is doing nothing but elevate this guy. So is he going to be the breakout guy? Is he going to be the bad apple who breaks the group apart eventually? Who knows? But I'm loving this angle.
Sheehan, what'd you think of the Hurt Business versus the Old Day?
The only thing about it, don't you dare. The only thing I'm really not sold on is the fact that I'm sure that this feud is going to continue for the next 6 years.
Yeah, straight to WrestleMania.
Oh, God, I don't want to see any more of this. Cedric, really, really good showing. I think the only thing that was holding him back from me was his god-awful theme music. So him joining a faction is a good thing, because his music sucked. Ugh. It was like change the channel, sort of like throw a brick through the TV sort of thing. It was just not good music. But I was happy to see them finally win. I feel like we've seen this match on Raw every week for, like a year and a half now? About a month and a half. But, I mean, it's just like this is going to be the Raw Tag Team division forevermore. And I'm not really looking forward to seeing this revisited. Unfortunately, it will be. But good match. Good match. Liked Cedric stealing the win. Even though they didn't need it. It showed some personality. I liked it. Okay.
So I'm normally, I don't watch Raw at all, and I will occasionally catch an episode of SmackDown since I do DVR it. And if I hear something that's good about it, I'll go back and I'll watch it. Or if I have time on a day off when I've watched everything else, I've watched all the Wednesday night stuff. I've watched all my boxing. I've watched porn. I've watched whatever.
Hey. Melissa, are you listening?
She knows. I've watched all the movies on HBO Max. I've watched all the movies I have to podcast about and all the TV shows I have to podcast about. Then finally, I will watch SmackDown. Hey, buddy. That being said, I will usually keep up with the news. I'll read the sites. I'll see what's going on. I somehow missed why they pulled Lana. That's where I'm going with this. Why they pulled Lana from this match. Well, is she injured? Does she have the COVID?
She was injured, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And she sucks.
And she sucks, yes. So they wrote her out because she sucks, but they did an injury angle where they screwed up her ankle.
Okay, so she's out with an injury. She wrestled for all of 2 minutes in the past 6 months, but she somehow injured herself?
Yes, she got a
She
big
sucks.
win over Nia Jax on Raw one week, and then they broke her foot, brother.
Oh, Nia Jax injured somebody. That hasn't happened in 20 minutes.
It's a record.
All right, well, that left an opening for someone else to come back, and here's the thing. When this was Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler versus Asuka and Lana, as I said to you guys previously, if it was going to be a thing where Asuka does all the work but Lana gets the pin and Lana gets the benefit of Asuka being a badass, I'm into that because that's a fun story. Anything besides that, I don't give a shit. And then, I don't have, Charlotte hate. Dude, I think I've talked about this in a previous podcast. My daughter hates Charlotte. She's like, why does Charlotte win all the matches? Why is Charlotte always winning? She's like, you've made a 9-year-old who's like a junior feminist and thinks Shotzi Blackheart is amazing. But you
sit down
hate...
and explain that she's genetically superior? I think that's what they're telling us, right?
But hate Charlotte Flair.
Basic thugonomics.
You have lost your audience. Fucking thugonomics. The champ is here. Woo! The champ. All right. So having Asuka and Lady Big Dog, as the late Larry Zonka used to call her, Charlotte Flair, beat Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, I was like, in 10 minutes and 5 seconds, I was like, who gives a shit? Asuka's the best women's wrestler they have on the roster, and Charlotte Flair wins everything. Charlotte Flair's the new Hulk Hogan, the new John Cena, the new whatever. She just wins all the time and wins easily. So who gives a shit?
So I'm going to come to the defense of my girl here because
okay.
clearly, my God, what are you saying about Charlotte, the Queen?
The truth.
Anyway, very well. Charlotte looked great. She came back in shape, man. She came back in shape. She came back motivated. It was the most motivated I've seen her in a long time. She lost a ton of weight physically. I mean, her legs were thinned out. Her face was noticeably, thinner and all that type
Less
of stuff.
pouchy.
Less pouchy. She didn't have the big stomach coming over the top of the pants. I mean, girlfriend looked good, man. And you know what? She wasn't buried in makeup like she normally was. She looked fairly natural. And, having her dad watching her on the monitor and different things like that, she seemed like she was reborn, man. It was a fresh Charlotte, and we haven't seen that in a long, long time. And I really, really did like the fact that, they did win the tag team titles because I think the Baszler Jax thing has run its course. And,
Run its course? They've had it for 5 minutes.
Yes, it's run its course. All they've done. You don't understand. If you've watched Raw for the past 2 months, here's exactly what happened on Raw.
I would rather have more teeth pulled, but go on.
So they had good old, oh my goodness, what's her name? She just got injured. Come on.
Lana.
Lana, yes. Poor Lana, for 2 full months, has been feuding with these 2 girls. She wasn't even in the match, and she was put through tables and injured every single week. That's been the entire gimmick and the entire storyline of their run. And they didn't even pay it off. They just gave it to 2 other tag team opponents. You know what I mean? It made no sense in the storyline arc. They just switched gears and just literally dumped Lana. So I don't know where this is headed. But man, I thought it was a decent match. We had a title change. Charlotte's back. She looks in shape. I liked it all the way around, man. No issues here.
I don't know. I will politely disagree and say Asuka and Lady Big Dog didn't need the titles. Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler kind of do. They have nothing else going on. And I think having 2 big bullies as your tag team champions, I think makes for a more interesting story than giving it to the 2 people who win everything all the time.
Can I suggest a Halloween costume for you 2 next year? Can I suggest that Chris Sheehan go as Chris Baszler? And I want you to go get Nia Jax's suit, Mark, the one that she wore on this particular pay-per-view. And I'd like to see that. Yep, Chris Baszler and Mark Jax. I would love to see that Halloween costume. If we could do that, that'd be great.
That's fine. Then I'm going to dress up my son as Lana. And I'm just keep putting him through a table.
I'll be Dana Brooke. No, I don't know. My boobs are big enough.
Welcome to the Rattledge Broadcasting Drag Queen Show. All right, speaking of drag queens, Roman Reigns
I
with
don't
Paul
get to
Heyman.
talk about this match.
Oh, fuck, sorry. A thousand
great. I
pardons.
can't wait.
So many things to say about
I'm
it.
This
sure
is the best
you do.
part.
I really don't. I'm happy that even though Charlotte won, I'm glad she didn't tap Baszler out. It was
And shut your mouth.
the silly, sad rolling cutter thing that she does.
Oh, the natural selection.
But
Ugh.
Baszler and Shayna now have zero reason to still be tag team partners, but they still are. On Raw, they come out as a united front, even though they hated each other, and the only reason they were together is because they had the belts. Now they don't have the belts and forgot that they hated each other. What's the point? I don't know, but this was as far as reveals go, this was bad because they didn't even pause. You know, like Asuka's music was still going, and they cut right to her music, to Flair's music. There was no silence. There was no and the mystery partner is, there was no sort of anticipation. It was just like, it's like somebody jumped the queue, started the music, and it's like, oh, okay, Charlotte's back. Okay. But the match, I don't remember anything that happened in the match other than the fact that that Charlotte won with her little rolling flippy thing. That's about it.
Okay.
We can move on now. I've
Yes,
said
sir.
my piece.
God bless you. Roman Reigns with Paul Heyman in yet another TLC match with Kevin Owens, who said, "You'll have to kill me. You'll have to kill me in order to win this match." And Kevin Owens, and I actually,
R.I.P.
other than Sasha Banks Carmella, in my opinion, this is the other best match of the night. And I'm going to say this: I thought this was the last match. I forgot Randy Orton versus the Fiend was on this pay-per-view.
How dare you?
So
How dare you?
I fucking hate the Fiend so much. Flames on the side of my face, heaving, seething. But no, I thought this was the main event, and so it was over, and I went to stop it, and then they start to flash to the package on Randy Orton and the Fiend. I'm like, oh my god, there's still another match, and then I fell asleep. So yeah, let me say that first. I fell asleep midway through this TLC match, and not because it was bad. I was really into it. I like Kevin Owens. I love the Roman Reigns heel character. I like the stuff they're doing with Jey Uso. This all works for me. That's the weird thing about WWE right now is that there's pockets of really, really good stuff, and the rest of it is trash. So this stuff, anything involving Roman Reigns, is super good, and I was really into it. I was just tired. I had just gotten home from work, so I passed out. And so I missed who won, and I went back and I rewatched it from I think the point where one of the points where Kevin Owens it was the last 5 minutes of the match where Kevin Owens went for the title and Jey Uso kicked him off the ladder. So I watched the end of it, and I'm like, oh, okay, Roman Reigns won, 24 minutes, 45 seconds. He retains his title with the help of Jey Uso. What a story this told. Jey Uso kept. If it hadn't been for Jey Uso, Kevin Owens might have won. Great. Here's the thing. I fell asleep again, and when I woke up, I had missed the entire Randy Orton Fiend match, and all I saw was
Don't spoil it.
No, don't do it.
And all I saw was Randy Orton setting the Fiend on fire, and I'm like, I refuse to go back and rewatch this if this is where they're going with this, so I just went to bed. And as I said to some of my friends who were talking about this after the show, I said, the ending of the Randy Orton Fiend match where he sets him on fire made me think I'd wasted my life watching wrestling. This was so bad.
Well, he didn't set him on fire at all.
Well, true.
Spoilers.
That's so stupid. All right, anyway. So Roman Reigns, Kevin Owens, like I said, they put on a hell of a match. They deserve to be in the main event. They deserve to have been the last match on this show. And I don't know. At this point, where has this Roman Reigns been for 5 years? This is the best Roman Reigns I've ever seen, and quite frankly, that's the best Kevin Owens I've seen since since he debuted on Raw and feuded with John Cena. He's amazing when he wants to be, and I guess it's a lot of it is just motivation for these guys when they're in something that they feel like they can put their hearts into and they can be more real. It's better when they're in stagey garbage. It sucks, or they're being forced into a role or a character that they're not comfortable with. It shows. It's terrible. So, Sheehan, don't you feel unloved and neglected? Share your distrucity on this match.
This was actually the first professional wrestling match I watched in my post-wrestling fandom career. Because before this match, we got another match. We got a special secret match. We saw Drew McIntyre call out the year 2020.
Ugh.
Ooh.
And he delivered a lazy Claymore kick to the year 2020. Which, I mean, this happened for you a little bit later on the show where you questioned how much of your life you wasted. As I watched Drew McIntyre kick the year 2020, I cringed so hard, my wrestling fandom actually fell out of my right ear. And it fell on the floor. It was liquefied, so I couldn't pick it back up. What the fuck is this shit? What? This is the stupidest shit. Drew McIntyre kicked the year 2020. No.
He won. He won. That's all we gotta say. His reign continues.
Oh, Jesus Christ. So, after Drew McIntyre kicked the year 2020, we got the match with that should have been the only TLC match of the show because it was actually good. It was very, very physical. They were just pounding the shit out of one another, and it was great. You actually, even though this feud is only like 2 weeks old, just like the other feud, there was actually intensity behind it. There was urgency behind it. They were trying to win. And Roman's character is aces. He is the best thing going right now. There was a part where he, beat the shit out of Owens. He went to climb the ladder. Owens grabbed at Roman's boot, and Roman he buried his head in his forearms, laughing because he was just so sure that he thought it was adorable that Owens was still in the fight. Such an awesome character moment for Roman, and totally just. He's killing it with the character. The ending, it was the chicken shit win with a low blow. Jey Uso was involved. So of course this feud has to continue, and it will in fact continue on SmackDown in a cage. So we'll see how that goes. But thought that
that's also good booking though. Like
sure,
it's the exact opposite of what they're doing with Raw, right? Mm-hmm. Because they had a match where smartly the henchman got involved because why wouldn't he?
Because it's no DQ, yeah.
Yep.
And so the next match is, well, fuck that guy. Now we're going to do this in a cage, and the purpose of the cage is to keep Jey Uso out of the match because Kevin Owens would have won had he not interfered.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah, logical storytelling.
Imagine that. It almost broadsides you. But really, really good match. Roman continues to just... He leads the entire company here in even in his in-ring work, he's killing it on all levels here. Everybody else is a very, very distant second to what he's doing. And I even forgot that this match was against Kevin Owens until Kevin Owens jumped Roman at the beginning of the match. I was like, who's Roman fighting? Oh, wait, it's Owens. Okay. Didn't even realize it was him, but hell of a match. Probably should have closed out the show, if not for
It's so funny. Like where we come from with Roman Reigns, from the Royal Rumble where everyone was expecting, I think it was like CM Punk or somebody, and it ended up being Rey Mysterio, and like everyone, like the entire arena booed. Yeah, that's right. It was Daniel Bryan, and everyone was like booing the shit out of poor Rey Mysterio Jr. It was like it was like McNulty from The Wire. Like, what the fuck did I do? Well, you weren't the guy we wanted. And Roman Reigns won that Royal Rumble, and everyone was just like, boo! Stop pushing him on us. Like, the world hating Roman Reigns to where we are now, it's like, wow. And this was set up like John Cena, too. Like, John Cena's character got really, really stale as a good guy for a long time, and everyone was like, he'd be such a good heel. He started off as a heel. He'd be so good. And they were like, nope, sells too many T-shirts. I'm like, okay. You're missing it. You're leaving money on the table, but that's fine. He'll just go off to Hollywood and make Transformers movies. It's fine.
I think they just didn't want you to do anything disgusting into Roman Reigns' eye. I think that's why they turned him.
Like, have you heard this podcast? Well,
we got to turn him heel now.
Yeah, good point. Like, I went from like hating Roman Reigns as recently as a few months ago to I have no complaints about this guy. He's one of the best things in wrestling. It's like him, Eddie Kingston, and Bayley. That's it. That's wrestling right now. There you go. Sheehan, we have praised this match up and down. Do you agree or disagree?
The other
no, Bayley. Fuck me. Sorry.
No, but okay. I'll talk about the match. if you wear the Nia Jax suit, maybe. All right. So, yeah, you know what? Solid match all the way around. However, when did Linda McMahon become a booking agent for this match? Because and the reason why I ask is I firmly believe that she is telling people how to sell stunners. Because there is no way that Kevin Owens has not delivered a proper stunner on anybody since he's been doing it. Like, the way you do the stunner, you lock the jaw on the shoulder, you drop down. The opponent is supposed to spring backwards off his feet, Scott Hall style, and go flying. Instead, they roll over like a dead duck like Linda McMahon did when she got the stunner from Steve Austin. It just blows my mind. Like, it's the one spot in the match where you want it to sell, and you've got people like Jey Uso, who's got so much spring in his legs, and he falls over like a dead turkey. I don't understand. I just don't get it.
Oh,
anyway.
God. Do you remember the first time he gave it to Vince on Raw? Like, the very first time he stunned Vince?
Yep. Jesus, terrible.
And Vince collapsed like all his bones had broken.
He started to tremor.
So, a couple points about this match. What I liked about it, and it had some subtle stuff that I like in TLC matches. So, the belt is hung up on the ladder. Now, Kevin Owens actually climbs the ladder a number of times, and there was a number of times where I was convinced that, oh my God, he's actually going to win this, because he had his hand so far around the strap that it looked like he was about to release it at least 2 to 3 separate times, and I was like, oh my goodness. Like, are they actually going to take the belt off of Reigns? Like, looking at this on paper, it's clear that Reigns was going to win this match. I had no question. I didn't believe one solitary fall in the match, even though I enjoyed it. But there was a couple times when Kevin Owens climbed that ladder, like, with nobody following him, and he almost took that belt down. And, he had to adjust on the fly and, hold his hip just to make, to create time and space. But, man, there was a couple times where I actually believed for a minute, and I guess that's the strength of this match. But, man, Roman Reigns looks like a badass. They're making use out of Jey Uso. This is just a money program all the way around the board with Reigns, man. It's just he's on fire, and the best thing in the WWE right now. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Oh,
Head of the table.
Speaking of on fire.
Oh, boy.
Mm-hmm.
Nice segue.
Thank you. I'm rather proud of that one. Randy Orton defeated The Fiend in a Firefly Inferno match in, thankfully, 12 minutes. I didn't watch. I didn't care. And when it was over, I just wanted to walk into the woods to live deliberately. So, I'm going to keep with you, Bailey, and this time I really mean Bailey. What happened in this match, and how did we get to a place where someone murdered another human being via arson?
Okay, so it all goes back. So they're using continuity back from their original feud back on SmackDown many moons ago, where Bray Wyatt, king of the Wyatt family and all that stuff, fought Randy Orton, and Randy Orton burned down his shack out in the middle of nowhere, and all his memories of Sister Abigail. So they're still revisiting this. So the fire has always been a principal part of this storyline. Now, they tried several times, so the entire ring was lit up with gasoline-powered fire emblems, and they had it rigged so every time you'd have a bump in the ring, the flame would come up, similar to how Kane and The Undertaker used to do their matches. So if a body slam happened in the ring, the fire would come up, and we had poles that were on fire. So fire was the entire theme. Now, they did a spot, and a unique spot, where they had a rocking chair, which symbolized, Bray Wyatt's old rocking chair from the Wyatt family gimmick and all that type of stuff. And what was going to happen was Bray Wyatt set a gasoline trail from one part of the ring right to the rocking chair, and they prop Randy Orton up, and then he threatened to drop a match, and he drops the match, and Orton narrowly escapes. So they did it a second time, where Randy Orton pushed Bray Wyatt into the fire. So now Bray Wyatt, or the Fiend, I should say, is now aflame, and Randy Orton runs into the middle of the ring. In walks the Fiend, which is completely covered in flames, and he hits him with the RKO and puts him out. Now, they go to a close-up shot of Randy Orton's face, and he's stunned. Now, meanwhile, our our pyrotechnical guys are just blowing out Bray Wyatt's fire off his back. Meanwhile, while we cut to a hard shot. But then they go to a point where Randy Orton goes and gets a gas can, and he covers. And when I say covers, he drowns this poor man in gas. And then he stands over him with a match. He lights a match, and he burns it almost to the point where it's at his fingers. And, I mean, it must have been uncomfortable because I don't know if you've burned a match and let it go almost right to the very stem. But, man, then he drops it, and he sets him completely on fire. But they had switched him out to be a prop dummy. So what was actually in the middle of the ring was like a deflated sack of shit with a mask, with a Fiend mask, and they set that on fire. And it was very clear.
Hang on.
They burned a dummy.
I feel like you don't have the Christmas spirit because I don't think it was a flaming sack of shit. I think it was a Bray Wyatt Yule log.
Yes, it was, and it burned brightly. It did, but and that's how the match ended. So the match literally ended by setting your opponent completely head to toe on fire, and that's how we ended up there, my man.
So Christmas Eve we do at my parents' house, and I always like using my dad's Google Chrome. I'll send YouTube over to the big TV, and we'll put like Christmas music and the Yule log on. And one year, I think I did like 12 hours of Darth Vader burning. Another year, I did Sauron from the Lord of the Rings. You know, I always find like funny Yule logs. Someone please do 12 hours of Bray Wyatt on fire.
That would be amazing.
Set to Christmas music.
So where do we go from here? That's my biggest thing, and I'm sure Sheen will get into this as well. But, like, you literally just burn the Fiend completely to death.
Now, did you watch Raw the following night? Because I think Alexa Bliss came out and, like, gave a status update on the Fiend, didn't she?
I thought the show started with a 10-belt salute.
That would have been awesome.
Should have. Damn should have. We mentioned this off the air, but, like, we've talked about how you up the ante a lot on these programs, and how many WWE main events this year have ended in straight-up murder? We talked about Braun Strowman either drowning or being eaten by an alligator or both. We talk about, was it AJ and Baron Corbin being thrown off the top of Titan Tower? I mean, we're actually killing motherfuckers here. And I think I'm missing one that we talked about not too long ago. Who did somebody was murdered? We have women smashing each other with
right.
sledge mallets.
Right, Rhea Ripley nearly killing Dakota Kai with a hammer.
She killed Dakota Kai twice in that match. We got to reel this stuff back. That said, I feel like with the limitations that we have with the vaunted Thunderdome, that this is the only time we could do a match with as silly an ending as this, because you're not going to be able to say, okay, everybody turn around. We're gonna roll this fat juggalo under the ring, and we're gonna pull the dummy out. So this is the only time they're going to be able to do something like that. And right now, it's like going back to my first point here. It's hard to roll this stuff back. We talked about the Roman and Owens match and how we had those hope spots for Owens, right? We thought that he was going to win it. And that was all because whoever was directing the scene had Roman Reigns just off camera. And so Roman Reigns was not part of the equation, even though he was literally like 2 feet away from, his target. We talked about this during War Games, where it's like, hey, Pat McAfee disappeared. Where did he go? Oh, wait, he spent 5 minutes climbing to the top of the cage to pose. And then it's like, okay, well, there he is. Now he's a threat because now we see him. We got this like weird thing. I don't know how we're going to go back to having crowds, because the manipulation of the shots that we're getting, you're not going to be able to do any of that where there's a full crowd. There's going to be a hum or a buzz or something when these hope spots happen. I don't know if we're going to just like over rely on trickery and muting crowds, or I don't know what the priority is what I'm trying to say. This was a stupid match. This was a heck of a spectacle. We talked about things looking different, and the whole building being engulfed in flames. It was a different look. I'll give it that. Probably not the best look, but at least it was different. It made this match feel like something different. I did like Bray getting set on fire the first time, and I figured when he came in and Orton hit him with the RKO, that would have been the end of it. It probably should have been the end of it. The ending spot was ridiculous, but I get why they did it, because they could do it, and this is the only time they will be able to do that. I just don't know where you go from here.
Well, it reminds me of what I remember them saying about Vince McMahon like many years ago, where they talked about, he told his wrestlers, "We're making movies here, pal." And I think Vince McMahon has always been like a frustrated movie director and producer, that that he's unfortunately forced into the limitations of what pro wrestling is and what it should be. But what he really wants to do is make Monster Hunter. He wants to be Michael Bay. I think he wants He wants women with big tits and low cut cleavages, and he wants explosions and robots punching monsters, and like that's Vince McMahon. And it's like he's never really been able to do that because the marquee says wrestling. But now, because they're essentially, they're doing things. Set. Yeah, they're on a closed set. He's like, I can finally live my dream, except that he's like a 90-year-old man with fucking dementia.
And jowls.
Yeah. And so it's like, if this was going to happen, I wish it had happened during the Attitude Era, because God only knows what they would have... Considering what they did, it would have been hilarious to see what they would have come up with had they been able to do real movies. Real closed sets, real, stunts like this. But now, like, that train is long since passed, and he is long since out of any good ideas. And, like you said, it sucks and it was stupid. The other thing I was thinking about was, we talked about The Undertaker on the Survivor Series show. And the Undertaker debuts and he murders everybody. He's the sole survivor. He knocks out the entire good guy team. The following year, he beats Hulk Hogan for the title. He gives it back to him the following Tuesday, but he did beat Hulk Hogan in an era where it was not easy to beat Hulk Hogan. Very few people had. He goes on to win successive WrestleManias. He gets the better of most people in his feuds, and even with like Yokozuna, it took the entire heel locker room to put him down the first time, and he won the second time.
Mm-hmm.
And
he did have Chuck Norris with him the second time, though.
True. My point is, like, they gave the Undertaker stupid supernatural powers, but they also made him win a lot.
Mm-hmm. And
unfortunately for Bray Wyatt, the gumbo's already been spoiled. He's lost too many times. And so now, with The Undertaker gone, they're looking around and they're like, well, who else can we replace The Undertaker with? Well, why don't we make The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, this like supernatural, magical character, and we'll basically, like, he'll be our new Undertaker. It's too late. You've already wrecked this character.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And now, like, and so either, and that's why I was asking, like, what did Bliss say on Raw? Because this is the kind of thing where that's how the character dies. He can't come back from being immolated. You can't.
No.
You just can't. You can't have him show up on Raw the next night and hit Randy Orton over the head with a chair. Like, no, sir.
Not with a Band-Aid over his mask.
Right. I got an owie. Storylines have to make sense. They have to follow some logical progression. You've thrown the Emperor down the fucking reactor shaft. You've thrown the ring, and Gollum fell into the lava. It's over. The fantasy is done. The hobbits are walking home. The Death Star has blown up. Knock it off already. And yet, they're going to keep going with him to the point where, what else do you do with The Fiend? Throw him off a building too? Well, we've already done that with Cesaro, and he got up. So what the fuck? Drop a bomb on him? This is the thing I really hate about the way the WWE does things now, is they don't know when to stop. I keep being reminded of, like, the Patton Oswalt joke about a transvestite is just a clown is a transvestite that's gone too far. That line always cracks me up.
Oh, man.
But that's what it is. It's just like the WWE just never knows when to stop and say, okay, we've reached a natural conclusion. We have to change tracks now. They're like, nope. What else can we do to this fucking fat idiot? I hate it. I hate it, and I wish like I just turned the pay-per-view off after Roman Reigns, Kevin Owens, because then I would have been like, oh, that was great. Can't wait to talk about this with the guys. And then I watch this, and I'm like, I hate wrestling. I don't want to watch wrestling anymore. It's all so
I'm
awful.
looking at a recap of Raw here. See here. Bliss says you could smell his burning flesh. She says it's almost like the Fiend was absorbed into the mat. She goes on to say he is home, but if he ever leaves home, he might come to Alexa's playground. And if so, it'll be unlike anything we've ever seen before. The lights go down again, and the arena is black as Bliss stares at Orton. The lights come back up, and the announcers are playing up the seriousness of the situation. Bliss and Orton are gone. So I hope that answered your question.
Sure. Clear as mud.
It cleared it up for me. It's as clear as Destrucity.
Well, that was the eighth pillar, wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
There, you just displayed upon us.
And the secret ninth pillar, which we haven't named yet.
I have a migraine. It hurts.
Oh, so good, so good.
All right, Bailey.
So what do you do next with the Fiend? So literally, I have thought about this at length. And
oh, do you now?
The Fiend, if you listen to how they're portraying him, is an actual possession. You know what I mean? It's Bray Wyatt possessed by this demon. So you transfer the demon to another motherfucker. That's all you do. You change characters. There you
Send
go.
it to Bo
That's your answer.
Dallas.
Right. So instead of like the Undertaker being a singular character, the Fiend is a possession that's passed down. It's literally passed over and over and over. So you can recreate this character every year with a new person.
What
So
they
you're
should do at the Royal Rumble, you have Kane's music hit, but it's actually Bray Wyatt wearing the Fiend mask with a Kane mask on top of that. And he comes out and uses one of those voice box things to talk about how he was burned.
I'm the Fiend.
Yeah, it's licensed to print money. I'm not sure it's American money, but it's money.
Hey, I think that's a shot at my Canadian currency.
The loonies and the goonies.
Oh, man.
So, it's a demon. And now we're doing demon possessions, yeah?
There you go. See?
Well, if we're doing demons and we're doing demon possessions, don't we need, like, wrestling's Constantine?
Oh, there! Look at you! Look, writing a book. You do. That's exactly what you need.
So who from NXT can we call up, throw in a trench jacket, make smoke cigarettes, and have him fight whatever, who's ever possessed by... Because this I'm into. If we can do wrestling Constantine, and every week he comes out on Raw and has to do an exorcism and a wrestling match, I'll watch that.
And he's hunting the Fiend. I like the concept.
Yeah. So who's wrestling?
I think it was him, Austin. It was him, Austin, all along.
Oh man, that would be so great. Can you picture an Austin Fiend?
So who's on the NXT or the NXT UK roster that we can throw in a trench coat and make the wrestling Constantine? This is much more interesting to me than talking about the pay-per-view, by the way.
Face?
Austin Aries?
No. Yeah, well, the other guy wasn't Aries. No, the other guy. The other guy with Johnny Gargano.
Oh, boo.
No, he's in the way now. He's in a group of
Get him out
four
of the way.
Mandalorian. What about Jake Lawless, Jake Atlas, Jake Lucy Lawless?
No. Sex pervert Dexter Loomis.
Yeah.
Wow.
Look at Sheehan hitting the fucking home run, grand slam.
Holy shit! That's
I hope I get that T-shirt for Christmas.
Man, that is. Listen, WWE, we just wrote your ticket. We just wrote your 3 years.
WrestleMania main event.
Shit.
Yeah, I would watch the WrestleMania main event of Dexter Loomis as John Constantine fighting, a demon-possessed whoever.
Wow.
I just want to fight a hologram of the Fiend.
But he still has to hit him with a palette of paint. Mm-hmm. I'm not letting that go. By the way, did you see NXT this week? They stole my idea, but instead of making it really funny with a palette of paint, they gave him a tablet.
Oh.
He's sitting in the corner painting things on a tablet on an easel.
It should have been an Etch-a-Sketch.
It really should have. Oh my god, if Dexter Lumis started hitting people with etch and sketches, I would just be pantsless.
Powder goes everywhere. Like Jeff Jarrett.
He's got the etch and sketch! He's got the etch and sketch!
My God, I never seen an etch and sketch hurt like that.
Damn you, Dexter Lumis! Damn you to hell for hitting
Get
him!
hit in the head with an etch and sketch.
It's amazing. Johnny Gargano keeps making the same face, even though he's been hit by an etch and sketch.
Oh my God. It's the best.
Well, it's not getting any better than that, so plugs!
Wow.
Actually, do a wrap-up of the show. The show's okay. There were a couple of okay matches, a couple of good matches, and garbage at the end. That's kind of the... Unfortunately, that's more often than not the WWE main roster monthly events these days. I can't call them pay-per-views, right? So, just onward and upwards to the fucking Royal Rumble, where we'll have 2 of those. And we'll see who gets the big push this year. Because right now, I could not tell you, based on who's on the roster right now, who's going to win either Royal Rumble. Like, maybe Rhea Ripley wins the women's one. Of the men, I have no fucking clue.
Bill Goldberg.
Yeah.
No.
I'm down for that. I hope the Bill Goldberg wins the Royal Rumble.
The Bill Goldberg Fiend.
Because the only thing I hate more than the main roster WWE are main roster WWE fans. So take that.
Up yours.
Take all the Goldberg. Right in the ass. All right. Bailey, your thoughts on the show, sir?
Well, you know what? I thought I liked this show before I started talking to you guys. And then I realized it's pure shit. So I don't like it.
Well said.
So much for that.
Take me home, Sheen, baby doll.
Yes. This all comes down to one word, and it's not Distrucity, so I won't waste your time with that. The one word to describe this is chore. This was a chore to watch. This was a chore to get through. Not only for the fact that I had to watch several of the matches over and over again, even if I only had to watch them once, this was a chore. This felt like it went on way too long. It didn't do anything. Just, Raw rolls on right after this. It was nothing.
It took the 5th pillar to get through this. Dedication.
And a 5th of something for sure. I mean, this was a pain in the ass to watch, and I'm just glad that we've got 6 weeks till the Rumble. That maybe we'll decompress by then, and hopefully, since the Rumble is sort of a marquee show, we'll get something to look forward to. Where this was just like, well, let's get a bunch of tables, ladders, and chairs because we have to, and we'll hope for the best. And unfortunately, we didn't get the best from very many people. But it's a good way to end this year. And with Drew McIntyre kicking the year, it's even better.
So it's going to be January 31st. They finally did announce it at St. Petersburg, Florida, at the Tropicana Field, which is where the Tampa Bay Rays play, that baseball field. And it's still up in the air whether or not they're going to allow fans. If they allow fans, I might get tickets for it. I might actually go. So we'll see. I've been to.
You're going to get the super COVID, Mark. The super COVID.
Listen, Florida. Listen, this is Florida where the COVID runs free. We all just live with it, like Los Angeles smog. It's fine. All right, but that's not the only wrestling going on between now and then. Myself and Chris Bailey will be reviewing AEW Holiday Bash, which is the 23rd at 10 o'clock at night. A special airtime of 10 o'clock at night if you're in the Eastern time zone because of the NBA. So that's Wednesday night out of its usual time slot. And then we're going to review it on the 26th because, we both have families and can't do it on Christmas. So check out that review when we get to it. And then we're going to take 2 weeks. We're going to let the New Year's Smash Part 1 and 2 happen. And then we're going to review that, all three of us again. We'll review New Year's Smash Parts 1 and 2 and NXT New Year's Evil on January 8th. So that's going to be a long show. We have 3 shows to review. But we'll get that done for you then. And then we'll bring you the Royal Rumble on February 2nd after it airs on January 31st. So that's all the wrestling. But not all the wrestling, because myself and Christian did our source material last night. We reviewed in vascular detail the Warrior Christmas special. And boy, no truer words have ever been spoken.
Very, very dense story in that.
Yes. Whew.
It was a very engorged story.
I still have the vapors. You check that out. We will be reviewing Monster Hunter tonight on Damn You Hollywood, and then the last second to last Metal Hammer of Doom of the Year, our Christmas show. We will be reviewing Majestica: A Christmas Carol. You can also check out our review of Batman 3 Jokers, Public Enemy, What You're Gonna Do When the Grid Goes Down, Community, and our boxing chapter on Evander Holyfield, and our live coverage, our alternative commentary of Canelo Alvarez versus Callum Smith. So all that awaits you in the archives if you're just now checking out this show and don't know what else we've done. All right, that's all my plugs. Mr. Sheehan, tell them about your holiday-themed podcast that you've been doing.
I am indeed. I'm taking a break from the regular X-Lapsed grind, which is very, very good timing because I'm getting very, very drained on the same story over and over again. So I'm covering Christmas stories from the X-Men's past. It's Merry X-Lapsed, covering stories from all different eras, from the Bronze Age to kind of close to current day, but not quite. Having a really good time with that. The folks who've listened have had nice things to say about it, so I'm happy about that as well. I will be getting back to the regular X-Lapsed grind after the holiday. And then me and Mr. Bailey will be kicking off some stuff in the new year that I'm very much looking forward to. So a lot of good stuff over at chrisandreggie.podbean.com in the next handful of weeks, and hopefully from that point on.
All right. You have the last word there, Mr. Bailey.
Oh, well, I'm glad, because have a seat, children. I'm going to read you a Christmas. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, you can find me on The Parler. That's right, the brand new social media sensation known as Parler at Charlton Hero. Imagine that. I mean, everybody's on that, right, guys? Right? Anyone?
I forgot to do that.
Anyone? Are you on Parler? No? I guess it's me and John Tesh only. That's it. His Christmas album was great, by the way. He tells me on Parler. Anyway, you can also find me, if Parler's not your thing, you can find me on the Twitter at Charlton_Hero. And like Chris said, we're going to be kicking off a long overdue set of podcasts. One that's a mystery, non-mystery, and the other one, that's right, is Quester Days, an ElfQuest podcast. So I can't wait to kickstart that, along with all the wrestling hijinks over on the Radlichen Broadcasting W2M network, which we're still the best wrestling coverage on that damn entire site. Anyway, I'm just saying it, throwing it out there. That ain't cocky if you back it up, folks. Anyway, that's it. That's it for me. Merry Christmas, everyone. And my Mean Gene Funko Pop says hi, Mark.
Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed that. I
loved it.
got you that one. I got Bailey, Mr. Sinister, because I couldn't figure out which X-Men one to send him, so I went with that one.
He's right. Sheehan, of course. But yes, he's up there next to my Cyclops pop, so it's all good.
Sweet. All right, folks, thanks for joining us here on TV Party tonight. Be well, be safe, and behave.
Join Parler.